Yeah. Yes. Everybody, it is 2025, and everything we talk about is consensual.
Mhm.
This Hannah, this is your friends. This is Life After Weekend. Everything we talk about is between consenting adults. We're adults. It's a lifestyle. Don't, don't judge. Seriously, don't judge. Oh my God, how many people you have to deal with your whole life and they're just judging you? You feel it all around. Don't be one of those people. Be cool, be kind, keep an open mind. Get 15% off all inventory at Locked in Lust with offer code YKF. A vice is a good way to start. The best chassis device is the one that fits. And the new item they have, which is pretty awesome, everybody, I have to say. The crotch rocket, we call it the saddle. Yeah, so if your dom is in chastity, or if your partner is in, is in chastity, you could ride them all the way up to orgasm way. Get 50% off all inventory Locked in Lust. Tonight we're talking about when doms have married clients. Doms. Oh my God. Can I just say this? Communication is the key, everybody. Communication is the key. And I know happily married couples who are very happily married because they are kinky. They are very kinky. And some of them honestly see Doms. Anna Valentina is with us. Miss Sweet is with us, and Mistress Sophie's with us. This is going to be a great episode. So I'm going to go around the room, introduce everybody. Tonight is a very, very, very special guest who has a story to tell. I'm going to give her the floor to start it all off. From Texas, she's been on the show many, many times. Please welcome Miss Sweet, and also,
Hello.
yes, also we have Anna Valentina. The Bussy Boss. You know her, you love her, Anna Valentina. And she loves your chocolate starfish. So, and
It's so
from the
funny.
UK,
Yeah.
we have Mistress Sophie. Mistress Sophie. All right. So let's just get into it. Let's just get into it.
So,
How how is working with married clients shape your perspective on the profession? Let's start with Miss Sweet.
Um, it shaped my perspective in the way that those are the people that I usually see that are looking for education and mentoring to be able to navigate their sex life together in a safe realm and guidance. So it's not your typical perverted asshat that we deal with.
asset.
That's totally true. Anna Valentina, do you have anything to add to that?
yeah, I mean, we are a safe space. That is our purpose, is to be a safe space for people. Uh um my my ideal, anyway, the way that I was raised was to be a safe, discreet, extremely educated space. This was the way that I was raised, was like, this is where you come to, whether you're married or not. This is where you come to have to have a really educated experience. And this was, I have been in the practice a long time, so it was a space that existed before social media, all these. When I started out, it was the mistress space. It was the place where you could only get to through like newspaper ads, that kind of thing. um, and it was a sacred thing. It was, how do I say the
There was a
question.
bond in the bondage.
Yeah,
There
the
was a
question. Yeah, the question inevitably comes up: is this cheating? And I think that's what we're all going for here, is like the question of, where do the emotional boundaries go? Is this cheating? Where is it? Where does that line cross? And, you know, is it okay? Where do partners know or don't know, or something like that? Um, you know, where's that boundary? You know?
Yeah. Vivian Vibes is here to bring us more inspiration.
It's so good to see everybody.
Tonight's topic is when DOMs have married clients. Married subs, married clients. Some of it is completely consensual. Some of it is sneaky. So it really depends. We can go without saying that most of the DOM, everybody here pretty much urges communication and would prefer having both partners as their subs, right? That's the overall.
I mean,
goal, right?
But it doesn't always happen that way. Sure, yeah.
So, Vivian, how has working with specifically married clients or subs, how does it shape your perspective on your profession?
It's really interesting because I didn't start off as a dominatrix. I started off as an escort, right? And when you're an escort, there are just some questions you do not ask, right? And whether or not they are married is one of them. You are doing a business that is none of your business. And so whether or not the submissive or the client is coming to you and they are married, it has nothing to do with the contract that you've entered in and agreed to as providing services to this person. That being said, it is really nice when you can get a couple involved. I mean, like when you can have another partner that gets involved in it, when they can have that kind of communication, or if you can coach the submissive into talking to their partner later on down the road, because it's really hard opening up to a partner about like the kinks that you are curious about and that you're into. The fear of rejection is really real. And sometimes it's just easier to talk to somebody who you've paid to talk to about the thing that you want to experience, because the fear of rejection is much less. They're a professional. They've probably heard way crazy shit. And so they're much less likely to reject you. I have worked with couples. I've worked with submissives, coaching them to talk to their partner. I have also worked with submissives who don't tell their partners anything because they know that this is not something that they can get at home. Not only is this something that they couldn't get at home, but because of their partner's own upbringing, they would not understand and their entire life would fall apart, right? And that's a real thing that we have to consider.
Yeah, not everybody is a sexpert,
Right.
Mistress Sophie?
Not most vanilla people. Like, we have the privilege of being pretty expert on a lot of things, especially things like boundaries and expression. I totally agree with you, Vivian, where these things are our purview, our specialty. But it's not, we are the safe spaces. People come to us. It doesn't go anywhere. It's not. Here's the thing. Like I tell people, like you can go and get kink sessions, or you can go and get sessions, whatever. I'm not going to show up at your doorstep. I'm never going to interfere with your life in any way. I'm not going to call your wife or whatever. I'm not going to show up at your kid's school, whatever. It's not my business, and I really don't give a shit.
It's like going to a bar and getting a mixed drink from a mixologist, right? Your mixologist is making you a very specifically curated drink, but that doesn't mean you're cheating on your wife with your mixologist. It means that you're getting a very specific service for you, tailored to you, and then you're going to leave, because that's the contract, the unspoken contract, right? Is like you're not cheating on your spouse when you go to a massage therapist. You're not cheating on your spouse when you go to your bartender. You're not cheating on your spouse when you go to a therapist and you have those conversations with them that you don't want to have with your spouse. So it's the difference between hiring a professional and going to somebody on a personal level.
Yeah. We guarantee no messiness. There is no fucking mess when you come to
Some of us do. Some of us do. Some of us do.
Blood, demon. So, one of the things when I put this out, Miss Sweet, who's a dear friend of the show, said, "I've got a story to tell." So, Miss Sweet, is it okay if I kind of give you the floor for a minute to tell your story?
Sure. What would you like me to discuss first and foremost?
Well, is there anything that what inspired you specifically?
What inspired me? What?
What inspired you specifically to come back to the show? Specific.
I really liked that you wanted to talk about dominatrices and our married clients because we see all sorts of different types. As you kind of heard the other two ladies going on about. But it can be anywhere from someone who is married and keeping it private from their partner, or it can be full-blown married couples that are coming to us for that education and that safe space and that guidance. Or even privacy and wanting to explore that way. But I really liked that you wanted to talk about that because it is something that a lot of people don't quite comprehend that goes on in our realm, in our field of work.
That goes to the next question. I'm going to start off with Mr. Sophie because we haven't really got to yet. What are some of the things that people don't realize doms have to deal with in this situation? Because think about it before you answer. I mean, there's money, there's scheduling, there's the lies, right? Every time you tell a lie, there's
emotional boundaries.
Yeah, I've sort of, I've sort of found with a lot of these things, it's these guys, a lot of my subs when they come to me, they are really doing it behind everyone's backs. And it's not just their wives, it's their friends, their work colleagues, their mates down the pub. It's everyone. So, confidentiality is a real big thing. So that's my real highest priority, aside from safety as well. And and then there's sort of like, you're always playing catch up on yourself a lot of the time. Because I might have, say, 5 or 6 emails go backwards and forwards, literally just on the subject of scheduling, just on that alone. Because the dates have almost like got to match up. It's almost like trying to play a game of Tetris, where you're trying to slot the blocks in as they're coming down. But then when you get that perfect fit, everything falls into place and you just go, done. It all works.
Yes, it's like playing a chess game. Miss Sweet, what are some things that people don't realize doms have to deal with in this situation?
Like Mistress Sophie said, it is very much like playing a game of Tetris. We also have to deal with the risk of the partner of the client having a location app or a GPS app on their partner's phone, like Life 360, and the risk of that partner showing up. And that's a fear we have to deal with because that can bring a whole lot of issues to our doors that we don't necessarily want or need. So location definitely falls into that.
Did anyone have any like jealous partners come after you?
Not after me, but I do have a story about when I worked in Boston, and I worked in this one dungeon. Boston is very vice heavy. What I mean is that the vice cops there are. Boston is very Catholic, and it's very vice heavy. So the two things go like hand in hand, basically, where it's like, yeah, there's a lot of like, oh, you shouldn't do, but also like a lot of money is involved in the you shouldn't do. And my boss, the dungeon mistress, was like, she said she had a guy come in who he'd been a longtime client, and his wife brought him in and made him say, I love my wife. I'm not ever going to do sessions again. So on and so on and so on. Like, made him face off against this, this mistress he'd been seeing for a long time. And I was like, what? Like, seriously, what? This was obviously, I mean,
how did the dominatrix react? How did the mistress react?
Well, yeah, she was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, just kind of like, what are you going to say against
that? Could have went so many different ways, right? What would you have done?
Well, what I've done is here. Okay, here's the thing. If you ever have and I've done a lot of threesomes in my private life. If you ever have a threesome where the woman is feeling kind of insecure or jealous, you focus on the woman. 100% of the time, you focus on the woman, and you're like, "Hi, honey," because you focus on the woman. You're like, "Hi, honey," whatever. Ooh, hey, how's it going? And I'm bi, so that comes naturally. But what it is about feeling jealous and stuff is feeling excluded. It's feeling left out. It's feeling like, like you're an afterthought or something. So as soon as you address that, everything is fucking gold. I cannot tell you. I mean, I should. But the number of times that I have turned a jealousy situation into a, hey, yeah, we're all good kind of situation. It's simply about giving that other person, that third person, as it were, that the partner, the security, the wantedness, the desire that they are really missing, honestly. If you can do that. Now, if you don't have the access to the other person, then that's you can't do that. Then the dom is, you're playing a distance game.
Vivian, what are some things that people don't realize that doms have to deal with in this situation?
I think people don't realize the amount of skills that go into creating and navigating a scene with a client. People really underestimate the amount of precision it takes to come up with a scene that's a really, really good scene. And it's one thing when you've had the client for a really long time and you're used to building up that structure with that client. It's another thing if it's a brand new client and they're asking for something that you don't do very often, or that you've done a few times but it's been a while, or like it's just not something that's regularly in your rotation, or it's something totally out of left field that you've never even done before, but you're willing to explore that with them too. That happens. But to be able to negotiate money is a first skill. That is not a skill a lot of people have, but you have to have in our industry. To be able to negotiate a fair price of the person who, in their mind, is, sometimes you have these people who their mind is, I should just get this for free because people can get it for free. Why won't you give it to me for free? What are your discounts? What's the deal? And you have to convince them that the reason that your prices are the way they are is because of the experience that they are about to receive, because you're really selling an experience to a person. And so the skill of being able to navigate all of those conversations, as well as a negotiation about the scene, as well as making sure that they feel safe and secure and right in their choice. It's like any other sales job, right? Like, you want them to feel like their problem is going to be solved with you. And it is, the problem is that I need this thing that I can't get anywhere else, and you're going to solve it for me. And that skill alone is something that you have to fine tune and develop.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be the solution to their problem. Absolutely. You have to be the stress reliever for this problem they have, and it's like you have to fit yourself in there, basically.
Yeah.
And when it comes to
as for like the jealous partners, when I was working in the brothel, we had a woman who came in and her husband was with a friend of mine, and they had just finished negotiation. They had just finished the payment process, and she was sitting on the bed and he was sitting on the chair across from her, and the woman burst in throwing a fit. And thankfully, my friend had an actual sex educator license, like had the certificate and everything. And was like, well, actually, we were discussing the ways that he can learn to pleasure you because he's been feeling really inadequate lately. And he wants to learn how to do this so that he can have a better relationship with you. did you want to stay for this? I'm sure that we can negotiate something. And she ended up getting a double booking out of that.
Right?
Perfect. Oh,
Sick.
Yeah.
I love education
Problems
for
are
everybody.
solvable.
Yeah.
I love that. You
so-
know, that's a really fucking good point. Is that is education not just for the, I want to call him the perpetrator, but not just for the initiator, not just for the dude, but also for the woman who's involved in these things. Like that is one thing that that I, well, like I just said about like vanilla threesomes or something. I focus on the woman who needs to feel reinforced and educated about how to emotionally handle these complex situations. You know, it's we
that
have,
goes to boundaries. I was thinking of boundaries though. So, are there specific boundaries that you establish? Like, let's say you have a sub, a new client. This is a dirty little secret for them, Mr. Sophie. Mr. Sophie, you said all your clients, these are dirty little secrets. What boundaries do you set up?
Yeah, the boundaries I always sort of set up is that I always say confidentiality. Whatever's said in this dungeon stays in this dungeon. That's always my go-to. And, you know, because I do see it as a form of counselling. You know, a counsellor wouldn't go out there and say, hey, I've got this client, they do this, they do that. They just wouldn't. They would never, ever do that. And the medical malpractice that would come with that would be astronomical. So, yeah. So one of the boundaries, one of the hard limits I always say is, whatever you say in here, it stays in here.
Miss Sweet, what about boundaries? What kind of boundaries do you set, or do you establish for yourself or the other person when you're in this situation?
I never ask personal questions that do not pertain to the session that is at hand. I will ask if they have any medical conditions or on any medications that might pose a safety risk, but I don't sit there and ask them about their families or about their jobs. And if that's something they choose to share, that's on them. But I also keep that strictly between them and myself. Kind of like what Mistress Sophie was saying, it's confidentiality. We're often sought out for the privacy that we offer.
Yep. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to show up at your house. I'm not going to text you when you're with your wife. I'm not going to ever, if you're my lifestyle, then that's fine. Then I do expect to have 24/7 access to you. But if you're my client, I only do that within specific terms. Like it's a come to me and not me to you kind of thing. I will never break those boundaries where I'm going to text you when you're with your family, like, oh, it's 2:00 on a Tuesday afternoon or something like that, and I'm just thinking about you. Unless we have specifically said that's okay, I would never do that. And that
You're
is
at church at confession. That's when you do it. when they're at church.
Another firm boundary is when we text them back. I'm not going to text you back in the middle of the night. I'm going to text you during office hours.
Vivian, any boundaries? What are some specific boundaries you set?
I hold office hours. Love that. I mean, we all deal in discretion. That's the whole part of the business, right? Like even with PepLove, the phone company I work for, we are not allowed to reach out to clients and solicit services from clients. They need to reach out to us first.
Oh.
So it's a very important rule to have. You never want to interrupt somebody's life. You have no idea what they're doing, what their partner's looking at, if they have a secret phone, or like, you just never know. So it's much better to just let the client reach out to you unless you have some really established way of handling that's been thoroughly discussed. And like, you understand the boundaries and limits in that. Like, I have some clients who live alone and they don't have a family to worry about. So they're like, yeah, feel free to message me at some point, during the week when we haven't talked in a while, to just remind me of my place in the world. And I'm like, okay,
Yes.
cool, I can do that, right?
Mhm.
And I would like to point out, just to stop the whole show real quick, that everything we say is consensual. Now, all these relationships that we have, they are consensual, and the typical dominatrix sub, when a person goes to a client, no sex is involved. There's no penetration or anything like that. It's role play. I needed to point
Doesn't
that
even
out.
need
Remind people.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
actually a really valid point, because that's a boundary we often have to express to our romantic partners when we do date as dominatrices.
Thank you. Yes. I've had a few long-term vanilla partners, and they've all understood this. But what this is about, you can go on Tinder and have a number of experiences, whatever. What we do is specific, and it's special, and it's rarefied. What we do is sex of the mind. It's not. It is very, very special. It is. You cannot find this anywhere else. And that's
I'm
the
glad
thing.
that you said specific. I'm very, very glad that you said specific, because people go to dominatrixes for specific fetishes. Now, the original question is, what is the most common reasons married clients seek out services of dominatrixes? I
Okay.
want to get to the, I will answer that, but I want to get to the bone of it. Fetishes. What is the most common fetish that brings them out to you? Let's start with Vivian.
The most common fetishes that I get coming out to me are things like sissification, forced by. I get a lot of religion. I go by Goddess Vivian. Yeah, I mean, so a lot of my clients tend to be older. They tend to be 50 and up. They tend to be white conservative men. They tend to have a Christian faith or were raised in a Christian home, right? That's like the majority of my client base. And so because they were raised in a very religious setting and with very religious guidelines, and we know that Christianity is not great with the LGBTQ stuff. Like
Yeah.
There's a lot of internal resentment and a lot of internal breakthrough that they have to get through. And when you're married to somebody and you've been this age, you're at that age, you've had your entire life with that person. You got married in your early 20s, you have a house with them, you have kids with them, you had these ideas of what that structure looked like when you got married, and you don't have the wiggle room to look at all of these other things and explore yourself more fully. Maybe you live in a state that is anti-LGBTQ or in a country that is anti-LGBTQ. There's so many things that go into it. And if you're wanting to explore your gender identity further, it can be really hard to do that in a way that feels safe and where you feel valid and where you feel heard. And so that's where I get the majority of my clients are that, right?
Yeah.
Because I can allow them to dress how they want, talk how they want. I teach them how to do their makeup. I teach them how to shop for clothes. I teach them how to walk in high heels. I teach them how to flirt and go out to bars and get free drinks. And I teach them how to have fun and be whoever they want to be. And in a place where they are loved and respected and honored as they should be. And that is the majority of what I get. And so because they feel like they can't talk to their partners or their religious community that they have been deeply involved with in their entire lives, and they don't have anywhere else to go, they come to me.
Miss Sweet, what are the common fetishes? The most common fetishes married clients come to you.
I'm almost sold on her teaching me how to get free drinks.
I got you anytime, babe.
My most common fetishes by married individuals would be CBT, impact play, and anal play. And it's usually because they feel like they can't ask their partner to do that, or their partner is not dominant enough to do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so all right, we got the bussy boss here, Miss Sweet, with the anal play. All right, so both of you, you know your butts.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. You know your butts, and you know other people's butts. So, what is the main reason people think, or married people think, that any kind of anal play is so forbidden and taboo?
They're
Dude,
afraid that their partner's going to think they're homosexual when really they're
Yes.
heterosexual and like their booty played with.
exactly.
Yeah.
Dudes are afraid that it's like, does this make me gay? And I'm like, you know, and I still say to them, like, does liking my pussy being eaten out, does that make me gay? You know, I mean, I do love the, you know, I'm bi, but it's probably
I
not,
love
you
condoms.
know, but like seriously, like on a case by case, you know, example, it's like, okay, so I'm a woman and I'm fucking strapping on and I'm fucking you in the ass. Like, does that automatically make you gay? It's. I feel very sorry. I feel very emotionally empathetic for guys who are just, they just want some anal play and like you know, really, like seriously, I'm like, oh honey, like you should just have your prostate stroked and it shouldn't be like a big fucking thing, you know, like I feel very sorry for you. That's like, oh, it's such a big, you know, like it shouldn't be such a big thing. I love my G-spot stroked, you know. It shouldn't
Sure.
be a fucking thing, right? For you to just get stuffed.
So let me go around the room. Let's say you have this married client, or you've had, let's say, statute of limitations and all this stuff. In the past, you've had these married clients,
Yeah.
right? And they love you. They love. Oh my god, you changed their world. You inspired them. They are now enlightened. What patterns start forming?
Oh.
You know, in their desires and their needs. Let's start with Miss Sweet. Miss Sweet, what patterns form?
When they are enamored with us, they start trying to do whatever they can to please us. As if we take on that wife entity in that brief moment for them. And they become needy because we're taking care of a need of theirs that they aren't getting at home.
Yep. We are their outlet.
Exactly.
We are their we're everything that they've ever had built up becomes our you know, when we give them an outlet, it becomes our channel. They like expurgate themselves to everything that they've ever felt or desired or fantasized about, or you know, have wondered about. Everything, these poor little guys, man. It's like, okay, this is gross, but it's kind of like popping a pimple. It's like, you know, hard to say that.
Vivian,
Like, no,
anything
it is literally like lancing a boil of some kind. It is like all of this stuff has been built up, and you're just like, oh god, you know, it needs to be expelled.
Yeah.
And it needs to be thoroughly expelled. You can't just do it halfway. That's the thing too. These guys who like are like, oh, I'm just gonna, oh shit, you know what, cross dressers are the biggest ones about this, where they'll fucking do this thing where they're like, oh, I'm gonna do this for like a year or so, and then I'm gonna throw out all of my stuff.
The purge. They do
Right?
purges.
They'll purge.
Yeah. Shout out to Mr. Shari at Mistress Manor. Instead of purging, we take the clothes. And we make sure they get to a cross dresser who needs it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Don't purge. Don't throw it away. Those are good clothes. That's fabric.
They fucking come, yeah, inevitably.
Yeah.
Within, I guarantee you, within 2 years, a year,
Purges a pattern, yeah.
they come
Purge
back
is a pattern.
and they're like, oh, okay, I want to take this. I'm like, dude, don't. I will keep your stuff. Because you will come back, and you don't need to feel this amount of shame about it. Like, I don't, but that's not my purview to cleanse them of their shame. Like, I can't do that for them. What I can do is support them. in their expression, and that's what I can do. I can't wave a magic wand, but what I can do is be a supportive person. So that's what I'm here for.
And that's what I mean. As someone who I'm wearing garter belt and stockings and a corset right now, locked in
Yes,
chastity
but
right now. You know what I mean? I get it. That right now, what you're saying, that resonates with me. So it's like finding someone, anyone who accepts, who understands, who's willing, who's cool, who's kind, who has an open mind. It's like finding heaven. You know what I mean? So, Vivian, Vivian Vibes. Are there any patterns that you start seeing when people are doing this, especially in pep love too? Everyone's like calling behind someone's back, aren't they?
Yeah. So, I mean, we actually have couples that call. We have some pretty cool ones. But what we see a lot of, right? What I see a lot of is the person will do the self-discovery and then they will get really, really, really into it. They will go all in. They will go super, super hard. They will take every single free chance that they get to talk to you, to engage with you, to have sessions with you, whether it's on the phone, whether it's through texting, whether it's in person. And they will have an in-person session that they have been fantasizing about for a really long time. And then they will disappear. And they're in a shame cycle at this point, right? Because they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. That's so humiliating. Am I just a giant pervert? Am I like a freak? Am I a bad person? Am I a predator? Am I all of these like shame spiral things? And then within a couple of weeks to a couple of months, sometimes to like a year, they come back from the shame spiral and they're ready to do it again, but they want to go more extreme. And there's always like, what's the next level of thing that I can do to be more like to get crazier than before and get more intense than before, to have bigger feelings than before. And I've had to train some of them to accept aftercare, because I was like, your shame spiral will be less intense if you let me give you aftercare. And that's something that I build into my sessions already. I have my sessions, I don't take any sessions that are less than a couple of hours. I build the aftercare into that session, so that way we have a cool down period. I can bring them back to their bodies before I ship them out. We have very specific conversations before, during, and after. It's very curated to hopefully reduce that shame spike as much, so that way we can work through it together. And I've worked with people's therapists doing this too, where they are like, yeah, I have a pro dom, and I'm like, if you give me a release, I will talk to your therapist about what goes on in the session. I don't really need to hear what you're talking to your therapist about, but if this is something that you need, then I think we can work together as a team. Other things that I noticed, there was something mentioned earlier about how like suddenly we become their wives, right? And a lot of that is because the psychology of men in general and the way that they are raised societally is that the only place where they can get emotional intimacy is from their girlfriends, wives, or mothers. And they cannot get it from anywhere else. And when you take on the doming role, you enter into that version that they see. In sissification, I can't tell you how many times I've been called mommy.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because that's the role you're going into, because that's the only place where they feel safe experiencing that emotional intimacy. It's a very scary thing for them. And so that's also a pattern that falls into play a lot too.
Oh my God.
It's
I wanna-
surrogate wife.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Oh, we
I was gonna
become a surrogate wife or a surrogate mommy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or a
yeah.
surrogate big sister,
Yes. Well, I mean, the paradigm is that a man is, it's so funny because you read this like Andrew Tate shit about like, oh, that a woman should be passed down from like her dad to her husband, or but the reality of that is, and I think that is this reaction to it's a reflexive reaction to the truth, which is that the reality is that emotionally, a man is in society, handed down from his mom to his wife or girlfriend or something like that, and that is that's emotionally the truth. But we can do so much more than that, and
Marriage was originally based on money. It was about land.
Mhm.
It was about
Yeah.
business. It was about making sure my family doesn't starve and your family doesn't starve. So
Yeah.
let's force our children to marry each other
But
so we
you
can
know,
share money.
this is, I mean, domination is the dark therapy. We
Yeah.
are the bridge between we're the bridge between reality and emotional. You know, we do the
So
emotional work.
what happens when things get real? So when
We
spouses
do
are
things that
aware
the therapist
of
is never gonna fucking do. You know, we're not
yeah.
the therapist. Your therapist is not gonna touch you emotionally or physically in the ways that we do. We're not that your therapist is not going to address your body in the ways that we do. They're never going to do role play in the ways that we do, in the ways that are actually like Vivian was saying, like getting into actual literal role play, like literally like taking on those roles of mommy, of provider, of safety, of the ways that give emotional comfort and safety. And that, I mean, honestly, that's a big part of what prodoms do
Oh
is
yeah. So what happens when things get real? So when they become aware of the partner's sessions with the dominatrix, Miss Sweet, what happens when that happens? What do you do when that happens, or what have you done when that has happened?
It depends on the type of awareness. Is the spouse okay with it? Is the spouse not? Sometimes we have spouses sending husbands to us to give them what they're not willing to give themselves or are incapable of giving them themselves. Like, for instance, a married couple where they're both submissive. You can't expect one submissive to actively dominate another submissive if that's not within their realm of things they're okay with.
I'm talking about like when it comes as a surprise. I'm talking about lies. When they become aware. Oh, my partner is seeing a dominatrix.
Again, it depends on if they're okay with it or not. Usually you enter a phase where you don't see them for a while until that couple sorts things out. Because there is the betrayal of the secret, regardless if the partner is okay with it or not. Sometimes you'll never see that client again.
That's true. That's a really good point. That's a very, very fucking fair point. Where
have you had any incident, any episodes, any of you, where that has happened, where like it kind of went unexpected?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Who's going to tell the first story?
I had a wife show up with the children one time.
What?
Wow. Pull a Lars Van Trier on you.
360.
That is scandalous.
Yeah, I mean, it was outside and I was dressed normally, thankfully.
Yeah.
Thank God for that.
It was terrifying, though, because it is the kind of exposure we don't want to have, especially with children involved.
Not just for you. I mean, not just for them, but for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my
like
God.
in public and stuff like that. Yeah. That's terrifying.
It was kind of like To Catch a Cheater sort of scenario. It was crazy.
What? Okay, I gotta know more about this. What the
Nymphomaniac.
hell happened? Like, was this? So this is a surprise for you?
So I had taken this particular client to a strip club with a spiked chastity cage on. And the strippers were aware of the spiked chastity. They had their fun. They used him as a human ashtray. It was lots of fun.
Oh, that sounds hot. Yeah.
It was super hot. But we had just gotten back, and as I was about to close the garage door, the wife comes pulling up with children and comes barreling out, screaming at him. I'm dressed normally because I'm out in public. I'm not dressed in any dommy fashion. But It was okay. You need to leave. Everyone needs to leave. I'm not here for this. Please go.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
Jeez.
the kids were crying. Mom was screaming. It was insane
No.
because they thought he was there trying to be in a courting manner, and it was not that.
Oh.
Wife thought he was just straight up cheating with a hot
I'm
new
so
model.
sorry, dude. I'm so sorry.
Jeez.
That's a terrible experience. I'm so
Oh,
sorry, man.
God.
It was like 3 years ago.
Jesus. I'm so sorry, man. That is not a pleasant experience for anybody involved. I'm so sorry. And you're the other woman, right?
Mm-hmm. So
Oh,
that created the boundary of if you have Life 360, you leave that down the street. We're not playing this game again.
oh my god. I'm so sorry. That is like the Dom's worst fucking nightmare is to have that experience where it's like you don't oh my god, I'm so sorry. God, that is like the worst experience where like you come up against the impact of somebody's duplicity, basically, you know. And it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Oh, I'm so
That
sorry.
is a
He
Yeah.
learned his lesson. He left in chastity because he was still locked up.
spike chastity, no less, right? Wasn't it spiked? You said
It was spiked, yeah.
it was spiked.
Karma is
Also,
a
that ends well.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Hell yeah. He fucking deserves every fucking spike of that. Oh my god. Seriously. Like, oh my god. Yeah, fuck him.
Vivian,
Holy
do you have
shit.
any stories about spouses becoming aware?
Yeah, nothing to that degree though. I mean, like I've had messages in my inbox, I've had emails, I've had, like phone calls being like, "Well, who is this? What do you mean? What is this website?" And like just pretty much like hanging up immediately, being like, "Hi, this is Vivian," and then hearing her voice on the other side of the phone, knowing that's not my client, being like, "I'm sorry, I can't help you," and then like hanging up and just not answering again. Um, I've had to block numbers before and then had to have them message me from other platforms to unblock them. Usually they go through a cooldown period of like a couple of weeks to a couple of months where they're like, yeah, I got caught. And then they inevitably will come back, right? Because if you have created this connection with them and they don't necessarily have access to what you have to offer anywhere else, they will inevitably come back. It's up to you to decide whether or not you want to play with that fire. And I mean,
It's funny that
for me,
reminds
money is
that-
green so long as it's green, right? And
Yeah.
like, I have a lot of patience. So long as the pay matches the bullshit, I can ignore the bullshit.
Get your bag, girl.
Yeah.
You're talking about text messages from people. It hasn't happened in a while, but like last year, I was getting text messages from men who were angry that I was talking to their wives who I wasn't even talking to. That's the funny thing.
Man,
Like,
that's not even your problem. Then
Yeah,
you
I
don't need
know.
to.
or even some I
It's
was,
like-
but like I can't. I don't know. It's wild. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
people-
let's
But
move on.
here's that thing. Emotional lessons from pro-doms, okay? We are
Mhm.
masters at emotional compartmentalization, okay? Do you think that we don't fucking care about our subs? Of course we do. But we fucking know where to draw the line. And that's where vanilla people just fuck that all up. We know
Mhm.
where to draw the lines. We protect
Yeah,
ourselves.
because we're
we
super
protect-
careful about it.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
protect.
Well,
It's
that
not
brings us to legal. That brings to legal and social considerations. So every state has different laws. There's marriage laws. There were certain cultures
Ooh,
where
Yeah.
people
Like
got in trouble, like
literally,
serious
literally,
trouble for
if
this.
somebody finds out that their spouse has been seeing a pro-dom, they can sue them for alienation of affection. That's a legal thing.
In every what states? Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So are there
In
specific
divorce
legal?
proceedings. in divorce proceedings, you can sue somebody for alienation of affection. You can sue the partner of the cheating spouse, basically, for whatever, for compensation or something like that. So it is literally legal, and I'm not. It depends on state by state or whatever, but that is a
Yes.
legal precedent that you can actually sue somebody for having, whatever, these
That's
relations.
in Hawaii, Mississippi, New Mexico, North Carolina, South Dakota, and Utah.
Ooh,
That
Thank
was
you,
quick.
Vivian. Vibes coming through.
fuck yeah!
Thank God for
Thank you.
Google. Thank God for Google.
Told
I
you.
had to know.
Inspiration. Yeah.
I had to know.
It's
This
what-
is gonna eat
I
at my
was
brain.
hoping. I was like, I was gonna get my phone. I was like, I hope someone looks that up.
Got you.
Thank
So,
you. Thank
Vivian,
you.
so what are some of the specific legal or regulatory challenges that you face?
So one of my biggest suggestions for anybody who's in the sex work industry at all is always, always, always look up the laws in your country and state, and look up the federal and state and local county laws, as well as the laws of your town, because the laws of your town might not be the same as the county, might not be the same as the state, might not be the same as federal, right? And all of that really does matter. That is your quickest way to find loopholes. That's also the quickest way to know how to market yourself properly to keep yourself safe. I know in Rhode Island, up until a few years ago, prostitution was legal so long as it was within your own residence and not advertised, right? And so, like, if it was in your own residence, they couldn't tell you what to do. So if you were doing it in your apartment or your house, they couldn't tell you what to do. And that was a loophole that got used pretty heavily, right? I grew up in Vermont, right? And in Vermont, escorting isn't illegal. Having sex for money is.
God bless.
And so that verbiage is very, very important. And so same with being a pro dom, right? Like BDSM wasn't illegal, is not considered prostitution because you're not selling sex for money. But what then constitutes as assault or assault with a deadly weapon? And how far can you take it with a person before you cross that line legally? And understanding all of that is really, really important. Even talking with like a lawyer is really, really helpful, because they can de-jargon it for you. Personally, legal jargon is like the bane of my existence, but they can de-jargon it for you and make it common tongue understanding, right?
Let's get a kink lawyer on the show.
I would love that. I have a
There's
resource
Attorney Lady
list.
Steele.
I'm trying to get into a law firm.
Yes.
Y'all support me. But anyway, yeah. But Paddleboro thank you for saying that, because Paddleboro is a thing where a consensual couple got prosecuted because they were, this is the notorious thing in the New England kink scene, where a consensual couple got prosecuted because she was paddling him.
Yep.
Which was prosecutable under assault. And there was this whole fucking thing, and couples and the scene got influenced by this for years. Like the ripples of this, of this case came up through. So, I mean, the consensual sexual expression of that area got influenced for so many years because of this one fucking thing.
Yeah,
And
that's why there's no sex clubs in Massachusetts. You have to go to Rhode Island.
Yep.
And same, like, they don't exist in Vermont. You have to drive down to Rhode Island to do it.
Yep.
There is a dungeon in New Hampshire, I think. That's beautiful.
With
really?
Texas, you can consent to assault so long as it doesn't cause permanent or mortal harm.
Yeah.
I actually had an attorney friend clear that up for me.
Ooh.
Perfect.
It's good to have the law on your side.
Yeah, because like Portland.
I'm sorry. I wanted to finish the Dom's marital clients with an episode with this question that is gonna May take a while. And then we're gonna get to show and tell. This is the way I worded it. But
We
it's
got
basically-
sidetracked.
All right. Yeah, what happens? I love it. Are there any lessons from your experience that you believe could be applied to improve the understanding or the communication in relationships between your clients and your spouses? In other words, what have you learned through all of this? Not this show, but just through your whole life. What have you learned that could help bridge that, tie that knot, so to speak, between, tie that knot in that bond between the
Other
spouse
Honesty
and
and communication, like I don't, like those are the things that are always missing is honesty and communication. Like, like whenever clients come to me and they're like, um, you know, I have a lot of clients who, and I know this is, I don't guess, but I know that this is experienced with a lot of DOMs and sex workers is that their wives are, whether they're aware or not, sometimes they are, and they kind of just like, whatever you do, whatever, but they're not, the guys are not engaging. The guys are not finding the receptive partnership of, they're not receiving. They have these desires, but they're not, they're not being felt. They're not being received. They're not being felt. And that's why they come to pros, is because we are non-judgmental, and we, I mean, also we're, maybe according to their fetish or something like that, they might be requiring more equipment or something like that. But it's often just something very simple, It
Miss
doesn't
Sweet?
really, it doesn't take a lot. It takes acceptance.
Miss Sweet, what lessons have you learned that could teach basically a married sub to make their relationship better?
I would advise them to be honest and communicative with their partner, like what she's stating, but in a way that helps their partner understand that they're not seeking out sex outside of the marriage. They're seeking out an outlet, and oftentimes that getting that outlet makes the sex at home that much better.
Preach. Yes. Preach. It is the
Definitely.
fulfillment of a human being in its totality. It's not, it's really not about the sex. Honestly, it's really not about the sex. It is about the acceptance of a person as they are, the totality of human being, and really, like, that, honestly, if we could just like beam that message out. Yeah.
Miss Sophie, what lessons have you learned?
I've learned quite a lot. I really, really have. I don't advertise this on my website, but I actually offer a sort of part counselling service for couples. And what I do is I almost prepare for that eventuality, for that one day that sub will come to me and just say, my partner found out, I am now totally screwed, help me. And I'm ready for that.
So what steps do you have in play? What do you tell them?
Well, I mean, I don't do the whole, sort of like diving under the surface, shut the hatch as fast as possible and hope for the best. I'm not like that. But no, what I sort of do is I go in with a very open mindset. I go to them and I say, okay, we're going to bring this to the negotiating table here. I'll hear your side and I'll hear their side. And we'll meet in the middle.
Yeah. Vivian Vibes, after all of this, after all these experiences, you can help. You're a healer. There's a couple
First off,
who need. What do you,
Sophie, I could listen to you talk for literally forever. I love your voice so much.
Oh, thank you.
For real.
So one of the biggest things that I think a lot of people miss, and we're going to go very binary when it comes to gender right now. So we've got a man and a wife. What a lot of men don't understand is that women need emotional safety to give physical intimacy. And when they do not have emotional safety, they cannot give you the physical intimacy in which you desire. And so if you are not providing the space for them to have that emotional safety, they will not explore further with you in your own physical desires, right? And sometimes that's really hard to create when you're talking about something that seems totally out of left field, like, you want to go to your wife and be like, I like to wear your panties when you're at work. That's a really hard conversation to start on one side. And also, how do you create emotional safety for your wife to be able to hear that? Right.
I was going to say, it's even harder to start if she just catches you in them.
Right, exactly. And then the other thing that I think is really important for people to understand is a person's desire to have something is not a rejection of the connection you currently have.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Right. And that can also be really, really hard. When your partner is like, I want to have threesomes, it can be hard to be like, do you not want me anymore? Are you rejecting me now? And it's not about rejecting you. It's about opening things up to have a richer, more fulfilling experience overall with a person that you love and care about, as well as another person who happens to be on the outside of it. Right.
That's why the kink community is so beautiful, because it really does open your mind. It changes your perspective. People go to a dungeon or a munch, you start talking to people, and hopefully, if you listen to this podcast, if you watch this, you'll start opening your mind. Just get a different perspective on things.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for everything. Okay, business is done. It's time for show and tell. Show and tell. This is silly, but why not? We did it when we were young. Someone leave? Oh, did Anna split? Okay. So here, I have something. This is a unicorn. Shall we open it? Okay.
Yes.
It's time to give into the legend. It's time to give into the legend. Oh my god, I'm gonna need glasses. Excuse me. Hold on. I'm gonna take you out, please. Fulfill your quest and open the realm of fantasy with this perfect pleasure companion. From its smooth, soft coat and its magically engineered, pulsating mouth, this small but mighty unicorn, Vibe, has the power to create breathtaking orgasms that are out of this world. Shall we open it?
Yeah.
Oh, Mistress Sophie's gonna get something. Oh, I wonder where Anna went. Anna, I don't know. Hopefully she'll be back. Okay, here it is. Do you believe in unicorns, Vivian?
Yes.
Yeah, it has a little.
I believe in anything whimsical. Oh, I love it.
That's fun.
Oh my god. I want one.
Yeah. I'll get back to you on how it is.
Please let me know.
Yeah.
Does it come in other colors?
Oh, yes. And shout out. Oh, I do want to give a shout out to the person who turned me on to this. She is in a band. We have musicians who are part of this show. The band just Hyperdolls. Hyperdolls. Check out Hyperdolls. Think of like a punk rock, gritty New Jersey version of Concrete Blonde. She sounds kind of has that like yeah. Check it out. Oh, Miss Sophie's back. Yeah. So that's my show and tell. Who would like to go next? Miss Sweet? Okay.
So since we talked about the spiked chastity, I thought I would bring out the Callie's teeth. I like the spikes.
Ouch. Oh my god. So spike chastity. What do you call that?
What was that?
What do you have a name? Do you have a name for your spike chastity device?
No. I have one that is an Iron Maiden style spike chastity. That's not the one that took off. This one was more screw in like the Callie's teeth, but it went completely around the cock.
If you're let's give it a name. Let's see if Miss Sophie give it. Miss Sophie, would you give a name to Miss Sweet's spike chastity device? You can call it the Andrew Tate.
No, I don't like to get political about these things, but I would actually probably call it the Keir Starmer because my current prime minister is an idiot. He just loves spiking people about everything.
Oh no, it's for little pricks.
Yeah, it's for little pricks. Vivian Vibes, you're a writer, you're a poet.
Yeah.
First of all, can you take a good look at this chastity device here? I'm going to take myself.
This isn't the chastity. This is just the Callie's teeth.
I
But I
want
have
one
the
so
chastity
badly.
device that's like the Callie's teeth, where it's a bulb that goes around the cock and it has these spikes that screw in.
Is that? Do you get them from Sato Toys?
No, this one I actually found on Amazon of all places, but I usually
So-
get the stuff on like Stockroom or
Sato Toys
that's
has
other-
the full chastity one, and they call it the Spanish Inquisition.
Oh, I love that.
And
That's a
I'm
great
obsessed with.
name.
I want it so badly.
I have another one I got off of eBay, which has a urethral sound and it comes around like an Iron Maiden.
Oh my god, that's so good.
We need to get together and torment boys.
I was
That's
about to say, I feel like we're gonna need to hang out.
That's a great quote. We need to get together and torment boys.
A poetic name.
Yeah.
Spanish
The
Inquisition
Kraken?
was a great one.
I know.
That's a
let's see,
great
the
name for a
Kraken?
dominatrix punk band. We need to get together and torment boys. That's the name of the band, right? They do that now.
That's like a Fallout Boy song.
We are scientists, right?
Yeah.
That's a wonderful show and tell, Miss Sweets. Thank you very, very much. I
Thank
truly
you.
appreciate it. Mr. Sophie, do you have a show and tell you'd like to?
I have my little pointy stick.
And
Nice,
can you tell us about that?
yeah, it was actually given to me by my very first ever sub. And I've had it ever since. And it's so wonderful because I've actually used it so much it's actually slightly bent. I don't know if you can see it, it's sort of like wobbles a little bit. And it's so great because I can actually just sit there and do the whole pointy thing like that, you know. But yeah, that's basically what it is. I keep it for sort of sentimental value, and you know, I can just do that whole. If I'm like in a classroom setting or anything like that, I just sort of like put the glasses on and then just perch them on the end of my nose like this, so I can sort of go. You are in detention today, young man. So yeah.
Oh no, I love that.
I would let you put me in detention.
I'd be the mischievous kid in the corner just giggling my butt off while watching you say that to
Me
someone
too.
else.
I even have the little hat with the D on it. I can just sit them in the corner.
That's so beautiful. I love that so much.
Yeah,
Stan says Pinhead would look at and say, kind of vanilla, if you ask me. That's
the tormentors.
true.
The tormentors.
Anna, where you at? Oh, okay. Show and tell, Vivian Vibes.
So I'm into found items, and one of the items that I found is actually a tire thumper for semi trucks, and it's got this fun hook, so you can like hook onto somebody's lingerie and pull them towards you. But it's a pretty heavy hitter. It creates a lot of really nice deep bruises, and I'm a really big fan of that. And it's currently my favorite toy. I use it. I use it very often.
I like it. It reminds
Yeah.
me of the wizard stuff.
Right, and it's like it's I can like I got a whole like thing going on with it, but I can also two-handed.
I suppose the question being is, what exactly did you do with the semi-truck driver when you got that?
He begged, and it was lovely.
Amazing.
Oh, it's so wonderful. Anna Valentina's back. We were having some technical issues. But,
Hey.
Anna Valentina, we did show and tell.
I took a shit for a minute, but anyway.
You
Yeah.
did? What?
I said my camera took a shit for a minute.
Oh, your camera. I was
Overheated.
like,
It overheated because of all you hot bitches. You know, it couldn't take it. It couldn't take all of you hotness.
well, we were showing and telling. We were showing and telling. We went around the room, and finally, do you have something for show and tell, Anna Valentina?
Oh, I got some. Hold on. Oh, so yeah, because it was just Pride Month, in June, right? In June here in the United States. So I gotta show off my rainbow cock, right? Is anybody singing?
That is fantastic.
Thank
You and I have matching cocks. I think we should have a sword fight.
Oh, I love it.
Ah!
I love it.
Yes, I love you. I love you. Oh my God, yes. Let's have a sword fight. Fuck yeah. Oh my God, yes.
Let's have a sword fight. Fuck yeah. On that note, this was a wonderful show. I am so thankful. I love all of you. Seriously. I'm so love talking with you. I think we did something good here tonight. I think we educated, and I think one of the things we learned is that communication is key, right? Communication is key. So if you are a married person and your partner, you're not communicating, like what you said, emotional safety leads to intimacy.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the key. That's
So
absolutely the key.
let's go around. Let's go around and how can everybody get in touch with you? Promote yourself. Let's start with Mistress Sophie. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm not as popular as I think, but I'm hoping to get. So the fastest way to get hold of me is via my website. Is www.mistresssophieofhertfordshire.co.uk. I'm on Twitter as @m_Sophie93, and my FetLife handle is Mistress Sophie 93, all one word.
Right. Miss Sweet, how can people support you, get in touch with you, and just...
The easiest way for them to get a hold of me right now is through my website, which is sadisticsuite.net. I am also on Twitter, Blue Sky, and FetLife. Twitter is currently being a little funky.
Okay.
Anna Valentina, how can people support you? And
always just Google my name, Anna Valentina. It's my website, AnnaValentina.com. And that's usually my handle on socials. But you can also find me. This is how I like to encourage people. Is Night Flirt. Nightflirt.com/Anna Valentina. And that is where you can actually talk to me. And do your bring me your kinks, bring me your fucking fascinations on Night Flirt. So go ahead.
And all right, we went around the room, but not without Vivian Vibes. Vivian, how can people support you, get in touch with you? And
they can get a hold of me through my website, vivianvibes.com. You can also find me on FetLife as Vivian Vibes. On Instagram and Twitter, you can find me as Vivian's Got Vibes. And of course, if you go to peplove.com, that's PEPLOVE.com, you can give me a call, you can shoot me a text, and we are a non-judgmental, BDSM, taboo-friendly phone sex company. So we can talk about literally anything and everything we want to.
Girl, I'm going to call you.
Hell yeah.
Fuck, man. I'm sex workers need release too.
Yes, we do.
I'm not even gonna be kidding, but yeah. Yeah, it's really great. You know, I love the community that we build here. No lie. Like, it's really wonderful to just, you know, it's really wonderful to see this kind of we support and we understand each other. You know?
Yes, and that means supporting each other's work. I'd like to promote Carly DeVille's Naughtylicious. Vivian and I had some fun with our
That was
episode
super fun.
with this book. This is a great book. Seriously, you're out. You go to Munch apart. Even if you're part of this is Carly DeVille. Carly, love you, Carly. Um, Sarah Azizi just wrote a book of poetry. Very emotional book. It's called Make a Wish. Look for it. If it's not out now, it will be out soon. It's, it's beautiful. Kink helps kink, everybody.
We
It's
love
gonna be
you
a great
all.
week. We love you all. It's going to be a great week. Read a book. Oh my God, please read a book. Your kinky friends. This whole thing started, because of dealing with grief and healing. How the kink community helped me heal. The coolest way to kill yourself. No one kills himself in the book. It's a saying. It's a metamorphosis. It's
we love all, and we are a community, and we love you all, and we are friends, and we are love.
And Lance says, "I love you all, everybody. It's going to be a great week. Go. You know what? You are part of the solution. You are not part of the problem.
Oh,
be
we
cool,
are.
be kind, keep an open mind. I love you all. Take care. Bye."
Bye.